Binge Down, how we feeling today? It's your boy Dave, and I'm joined by the OG anime squad of Alki and Kyle. It's business as usual as we continue our coverage of the hit Korean webtoon anime adaptation Solo Leveling with episodes 4 and 5 titled I've Got to Get Stronger and A Pretty Good Deal, respectively. I think it's pretty safe to say that we are officially in the good times. You know how Andy from The Office says, how do you know when you're in the good times? Without, I think right now I can just let the audience know we're officially in the good times. Now that Sung Jin Woo has his updated look, we are fully in the thick of it. Episode 4 I thought was incredible. Episode 5 kind of sets us up with what's going to be
Yeah.
nothing but badassery going forward. So just real quick thoughts on the episodes for you two.
First of all, beautiful introduction there, David. Um, but I think we're almost
Yeah.
at the good times.
Okay.
We're getting there. One more day, one more episode.
I think one more episode too. I'll agree with that.
Dude, I can't believe the way
What a
F5
dick
ended. I'm
tease.
like, dude,
Yeah.
first of all, four was great. The grinding was great. And I remember on like our first or second recording, I was like, man, the animation, whatever, I was being a little bitch, to be honest. But then dude, they turned it up. It's so good. This has so much potential. Like I already knew this, and now it's like refueled my feelings. My goodness. I was just we're in for such a good ride, man. I like 4 and 5. The grinding that I felt, the reading the grinding when I was reading it, how excited I was getting to see him get stronger, more intelligent, improve physically. I was like loving that while reading it, and I'm experiencing it all over again while watching, and it's the best.
Mhm.
Yeah, speaking of the source material, I was able to go back and read the chapters for these episodes, and it's pretty close to a carbon copy 1-to-1. There's some things, and I believe it's episode 5, I want to say, that don't really, they just get
Mhm.
maybe in like a different order of things, but it just looks good. The vibe is there. Every reaction that I watch of people watching it are so fucking hype, especially episode like at the end of episode 4 when he's just barehanded, the
Mhm.
demon, or I'm sorry, the snake, and then getting into episode 5 to start and he's ripped now and everyone's like, oh my boy. And it's just like these are all of the emotions we felt reading it for the first time. So it feels pretty perfect, honestly.
Yeah, I'm so happy that everyone is now on the train of this. I mean, we even have a couple friends IRL who have never read the source material before and are just now experiencing for the first time. We've been trying to sell it to any one of our friends that watches anime and hasn't read the manga yet. Um, Looking at you, Kui, if you're listening to this, so
He's
hop on
probably
it.
not.
But Kyrie has actually one of our other friends, Kyrie, got so invested after the second episode, I think it was, that he just immediately started to read it, which
That's
I
so
don't
which is
blame
funny.
so
him.
which is so cool. Like that
Yeah.
gives me so much hope for this anime without even watching anything. Like even if I had never watched it, for him to have that reaction, that's reactions I've had for other anime, and if he felt that way, that means it's A+. So
Yeah.
When I'm going back to read today, a lot of the comments and all the chapters are saying like I just like finished episode 4 and couldn't not just start reading all this kind of stuff. So the comments on chapters are full of new people too, which is great.
I'm
oh,
sure
that's
just
so cool.
I'm sure each week the amount of readers is going to go up. I'm sure after episode 5 people were like, "Okay,
Yeah, the
just get me
biggest
in there."
cliffhanger. It's like, all
Yeah.
right, where's the? I literally almost started reading chapters afterwards, and I was like, I'm gonna try to stop. So
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. So we open with episode 4. Sung Jin Woo is continuing his fight with the steel fanged lichen from the last episode. And just really quickly, just revealing just how strong he's actually gotten from boosting his strength stat as we see him kind of tossing around the lichen a little bit. Still struggling, but we do see the progress that he's made here. It's not until he realizes that he has the sword that Mr. Kim gave him back from episode 2, I believe it was, which he then uses to easily take out the Lycan. And at this point, the Lycan I don't think is a big deal at all for Sung Jin Woo. It's just a low level monster.
well, they're still orange at this point.
Yeah, and even though they're still
I guess
orange, I
one v
mean,
one
yeah,
is a different story because then the one that ran away comes back, and there's just an absolute horde of them, which he
yeah.
dices to pieces.
The one thing that we'll bring up here is after he beats the first Lycan, I believe he levels up one time.
Mhm.
Um, and I guess he beats a few more, but either way, we get a quick scene here of him explaining the leveling up mechanics, and it's just leveling up grants +1 to all of his stats. So it's just a more effective way of getting stronger rather than just focusing on the daily quest. The daily quest rewards you with 3 points afterwards after completion, whereas leveling up just grants you an automatic 5. So definitely a more efficient way of doing this. One other important thing to note is that killing beasts in these dungeons generate items rather than essence stones. And we also get a glimpse of the shop, which Sung Jin Woo is still too low leveled to have access
Yeah.
to, but he does
Great
sell a
teaser.
couple of the lichen fangs for a couple bucks here and there.
One thing too that I noticed after I read was the screens look a little different, and in the webtoon there's abilities that he has, and they just don't show up in this one so far. I tried to pause the screen as much as I could to look. They're just not there. The information in terms of statistics is all the same, but in the webtoon, and this is not a spoiler, he has like active skills like sprinting is like a level 1 skill for
I
him. He has
forgot about
passive
that.
skills that one is like muscularity level 1,
Mhm.
and then there's a more spoilery one type of deal. So
Well,
I'm
he
just
might have just
curious.
never clicked like the advanced settings in the anime yet.
Yeah, I'm just curious of if they'll just wait to kind of explain them or what the deal is with
Mm.
that. It was just one difference that I noted. I
Okay,
don't think it's a big deal at all, but
thank
Sprint,
you.
if they do get into it, Sprint is definitely the goat early on. I feel like it's
yeah.
when he whips out that sprint, it's just the best.
We know that he gets skills that are like very important to the story and his combat abilities,
Right,
so
right.
it will come up. I'm sure they're probably just trying to keep it as
Right.
condensed as possible in terms of characters, abilities, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And here, finishing off that huge pack of Steel Fang Lycans, he is now granted the title of Wolf Assassin, which I believe it was Wolf Slayer
Yeah, it's
in the.
Slayer.
It's so much better as Slayer. Fuck Wolf Assassin.
I
What's that bullshit?
agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wolf
assassin feels
Slayer.
like you're like hunting them without their knowledge versus like just taking them straight on and fucking their days
Yes,
up.
Slayer is just the way better way to go about it. But anyway, this title grants him a 40% bonus to all abilities against animal type monsters. So yeah, we get a title here which will last for quite a few fights, I imagine, before he gets his next one. But just I feel like this is already just a huge buff. I mean, 40% is huge versus to what compared to what we've been seeing so far at just him at his base level. So anytime he's against an animal type monster, 40% I think is just going to go a long, long way.
Oh my god, it's
But
huge.
yeah, just some of the abilities and titles are just so fucking broken. I mean, I don't give a shit. It's just great content at the end of the day because it's just our boy getting strong as hell. But after he beats all the Lycans, we see his sword is completely at its limits. He has now also acquired a teleportation stone, so the option to leave does present itself. But come on, of course, our boy is going to see
Yeah.
things through. There's just no way he's not going to. As he continues to fight, he notices the names of the Lycans start to change colors, and we kind of talked about this in the last episode. Wouldn't really say it was a spoiler at the time, but again, if an enemy is marked in the color of red, it's just way stronger than him. If it's orange, it's a little bit stronger. If it's white, it's an equal fair fight, essentially. Um,
Nah, the orange is equal.
oh, orange is equal.
Yeah, white's below.
Okay, got it, got it. So orange, you're equivalent to white, just means you're going to mop up the floor with these things.
Yeah, to me, you guys are both white.
I'm yellow, baby.
Fair.
um, and yeah, so he finishes up there and continues on, but he stops himself right at the top of these sets of stairs, which this moment's really cool too because we see his perception skills start to pay off here. He senses a very strong and dangerous presence deeper within the dungeon. Just like that little touch here while we still get them, because at some point we're just going to get to the point where his stats all just fucking they don't really do that much at any point. They're just kind of just stepping stones at some point. But here we can see kind of the actual progression of what they mean for his character. And so it's really cool seeing his perception pay off here.
It's funny in the translation that I was reading, and we know that, translation to translation, whatever website you're on might translate it in different ways. and the one I was looking at was sense instead of perception. That just seems like so.
Yeah.
It just seems so funny. Where you're
Sense.
leveling up your sense. You
I
get
feel like
more
when I was
sense.
reading it, I didn't notice that, but it makes so much more sense now that we like we have D&D under our belts now. Like perception just fits so much better
Oh
in
yeah,
the word. So
for sure, for
It was
sure.
definitely just a translation error.
oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But
Oof.
like I said
The
earlier,
boss.
Sung ain't backing down from anything. He presses onward, and he's immediately attacked by the king of the swamp, the blue venom-fanged Kasaka. And I'll just kind of hand it right over to you guys and just talk about the fight here. Personally, all I'll really say is just Alki can eat his words. The animation here I thought was just very good. And I know he atoned and admitted to it, so
I'm self-aware, dude. I thought it was great. I mean, shit, bro. The serpent, him fucking shit up, all of it. I don't feel like I need to dissect it much until, except the fact that like I used to read it and I thought it was so cool and seeing it. So far, it's been so rewarding as a reader, like seeing it come alive, more than like possibly a lot of animes that I've watched but read first. And I think that's because it was such an exciting read to
Yeah.
begin with. But whatever, man. Just like his progression through the fight was really nice to watch. He's maturing very quickly, and that may have to do with the stats or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Like there's so much at stake in the world with the S ranks and the dungeons. He needs to get quick. He needs to get rich quick. He needs to get strong, or else he's gonna be left behind. He's gonna be that same E rank schlub that he's been his whole life, and he's not anymore.
Yeah, I think it's important that they're highlighting, and obviously it happens this way in the webtoon, but that he is thinking like he's having this emotional development and maturity, like Alki's saying, beyond just like his physical quantitative stats are going up. He's evolving as a person himself, where he's having those memories of the dungeon. We talked about it in episode 2 or 3. It must have been 3, where he is, I guess maybe 2. It doesn't really matter. Where he's like throwing off this idea of like he just needs to be a nice person and smart and all these kind of things. He's like, no, like I literally need to be powerful. I need to be strong. Like I want to give the feeling that I had in the dungeon when that stone god stood up and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, we know that the journey is an enjoyable one, and he'll hopefully eventually get there, type of deal. So I just, the scene's just badass, and it's just great again watching people react to it who have never seen or read it before, and them just getting so hyped when he just like bare hands, like they're just 2 minutes before they're just like, oh my god, what am I gonna do about these scales? And then he just gasses himself up so much and he just crushes its neck and just kills it that way. And I watched so many people that were standing up, in whatever room they were watching and just like flexing and going
Right.
crazy. And it's just like, this is literally what solo leveling is all about.
That was
Dead
what
ass, dude.
that was kind of what I wanted to bring up too. Is it's funny how at the beginning of this episode, he's using his fists and then heavily relies on the sword for the lichens that he's facing. But here for this specific battle, the scales of the snake are so strong and dense that the sword doesn't even do anything, where he has to actually ditch the sword at this point, which he's already come to kind of accept a little bit. And
Just be a
now
boss.
and just use, and that just also again shows the strength of how much he leveled up. I'm sure it was at least 5 levels, I believe it was, from fighting the
Yeah.
wolves
Oh my
and
god,
everything.
a lot. He was getting a lot of those notifications.
Yeah, so I mean, again, at some point I forget what rank the sword was. It might have been like a D rank sword, but
Yeah.
at some point it just shows that his fists are now considered stronger than a D rank weapon, is how I essentially took it. And it's cool to see that. And those 5 levels, he was able to do that, surpass that weapon. So,
and I mean, it gets the drops are insane.
Oh yeah.
Off
Oh,
of this. The
so
dagger's sick. The venom is fucking OP as hell.
Dude,
yes.
the thing about him is like he is so OP. He is like he qualifies as like a hate. If you wanted to, you could hate him because he's so fucking
Yeah,
overpowered.
he's
Not
like
only
he's
does he
Superman. He's
does
Superman.
not only does he get drops in the dungeons, like we come to find out, he gets his own individual secret drops that
Yeah.
he only has access to.
Yeah,
It's crazy,
yeah. And then
but
the
it's
store
so
eventually.
cool.
The store is such a broken thing too.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
it's
it's
all
great.
so great. And
Great.
so like we were kind of talking about, he's rewarded with the sweet dagger that just it looks so cool, and it's only a C rank weapon. It's a poison weapon or just a C rank weapon. It increases your attack by 25, broken because I think his attack.
It's like 50 at this point,
Well, I think that's at
45.
the end of five. At the end of five, it's 50. So he's
True.
basically essentially doubling his attack just immediately by just holding this dagger. So insanity. It also caused paralysis, glitch, and drain, which I hate how they don't call it bleed. That really bothers me. Um, which does -1% HP per second, which I feel like again, we keep talking about how his powers are just
Busted.
broken, but like I feel like in the webtoon, it makes more sense for it to be just -1 HP. I mean, rather than 1% HP, because a fight would
Yeah.
end in 100 seconds then essentially.
Well, no,
If
I mean their HP isn't. I mean his HP in
but
episode 5 is 2,200.
I agree, and that's why I think it should have been corrected to being -1 HP per second, but it's specifically the weapon's ability is specifically -1% HP per
That's
second,
fair enough. Yeah.
which
Which is more. That's a lot.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It
no,
could be a
that's fair,
couple
yeah.
hundred HPs per
No, this
second.
says now the webtoon I'm looking at, it says attacked foes lose 1% of their health every second.
Okay, I guess it was 1%, which okay, just broken. I don't know what to say. It's just broken. I thought it was going to be -1 HP, which makes more sense to me,
No.
but that's fine. It's also we'll get into it later. We'll see the effects come in. Just
Yeah.
my one complaint is that it's called drain and not bleed, because I'm pretty sure also in the webtoon it's called bleed,
Yeah.
and that makes way more sense.
Yeah.
And then the other item is Kasaka's venom gland, which is an A rank poison item that reduces physical damage by 20% and decreases strength by 35%. In the dungeon reverse. The one thing I want to comment here too is after he beats Kasaka, Sung's kind of sitting on top of it, the corpse, and he says, I guess I have gotten stronger. Just straight up Hunter x Hunter. Come on. Like it's Kite, Pito. Like that's just all I was thinking about when I saw that scene. So
It's a sad memory.
yeah, but in this moment it's really
Yeah,
badass.
much cooler here. Much cooler here.
But so yes, Sung leaves the dungeon, but immediately
I forgot
comes,
about this part.
yeah, immediately comes across a dungeon break, which
Yeah,
I think this is
literally forgot.
I think
that
this is
happened.
the part where the anime starts. I feel like this for me is where it starts. So now we do really get to see the power and progress of Sung's leveling up. Sung sensing the boss a few blocks away. It was really badass as he walks out. You can see the surges of energy that he's aware of. Obviously, no one else can see him. That's just his perception. But there's a group of E and D rank hunters that are struggling against this stone dungeon
Rock
boss.
golem thing.
Yeah, IRL. Juhi is also in attendance, but completely shaken up still by the Kartanon temple and cannot provide any support.
Yeah.
But Sung being
Don't
the
talk about
goat,
support.
yeah, Sung
Oh my
being
God,
the goat
bro.
that he is, determines
back
that
line.
in order for them, they're not in sync. They're all just they're not a squad by any means. They're all just hunters that were in the area. They all got called up, so their chemistry isn't all quite there. But Sung Jin Woo recognizes that he needs to deal with some of these defenses to help them out without causing too much of a commotion. And there's nothing better in anime than a good step up, just a nice little like just foot into the ground, ready to just wind up. I feel like in anything I think of, like Hunter x Hunter and the dodgeball scenes, just
7 Deadly Sins.
yeah, Seven Deadly Sins again. Yeah,
The
that was
OG
another
spear
one.
throw.
It's just
Guild Thunder. That fucking scene is amazing.
and then Thunderclap and Flash. Just there's nothing better than just a one step. Brace yourself. Get
Yeah.
ready for this fucking action scene. And
And he flicks the sword in his hand.
oh,
It's just like everything about it is literally as cool as it could have possibly been.
this
It's
anime
just-
is gonna
Yeah.
break my heart, man.
That's
It's
why
gonna be,
the fucking series is so great. Is because every situation, like if you would think like, what's the coolest way this could get resolved? Like, what's the coolest thing he could do right now? And most of the time, it's that, or it's like way cooler than I thought it could have been.
Yeah,
It's just fucking the best.
that's the best way to describe it.
And then he fucks it up, and we get him like kind of questioning, like, "Oh, I guess it was kind of hurt." And we know that he's just a beast now. But they gave us that like forearm flex where like we see that he's getting jacked, which obviously leads us. Episode 5 throws it in our face, but I love that part of this, the ending of this episode.
He walks off into the night just without taking any credit.
Yeah.
Juhi does see
baby
him
girl
walking.
is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one comment.
We're not together. We're not together. That's fine.
The one comment I'll add here too is I just love the tank of the group that was fighting, just thinking to himself, he sees the shattered sword. He's just like, God damn, that must have been some high ranked hunter that just fucking yeeted this thing. And it's just our boy. Good old E rank, weakest of all time, Sung Jin Woo.
They'll find out soon.
They'll know his name. Remember the name.
Find out. I love how he's like, oh, that monster must have been pretty weak. And it's like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
You handle that shit, brother. Like they couldn't do anything.
All right. Hype episode 4. Now we're going to keep rolling with episode 5. And what an opening. What an
episode
opening.
5. We got some
fan service, bro.
We got a lot of fucking male jacked body shots in this episode.
You know what I noticed a lot of? They were all breaking their Hippocratic oath. Okay.
Yes.
His damn nurses.
That's what happens when you got a bad boy in the hospital like Sung Jin Woo, baby.
God damn, bro.
They all wanted to meet the Woo.
Oh, I love it.
The real Woo.
But yeah, opening scene is just him showing off his body and all the nurses just completely drooling over him. So not much more to talk about.
That was, she asked for his number too, which was a power move, I thought.
Oh,
again,
yeah.
Probably against the Hippocratic oath.
She broke the oath.
But again, he has this, doesn't really understand the attention. He was like, oh, maybe they'll send me some test results.
Yeah.
Not realizing that he's like some jacked, attractive man now. His face shape is different in the anime. His voice is fucking deeper. Like it's.
He looks handsome, man.
I was curious to see how people would react because it's a really drastic change. But people I think are just mostly excited about it. It's like, oh my God, okay, he's like leveling up. He's getting stronger. So like it works.
Literally, my comment is just he's looking more like an MC finally.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But really quickly, we're just going to talk about, again, apologies for butchering all the names on the show, but Bak Yoon-hoo appears on the news. Just really cool, introduced as one of the 7 S-rank hunters in the country. This is just the kind of lore that just gets me really hyped when reading this. It's so simple, yet just so just makes me amped, you know. It gives us something to look forward to. I think we know.
It's good to build the world out.
Can we confirm how many we know right now?
S-rank hunter?
The guy that was in the first episode, was he not?
So we know 3 at this point. It's
Okay,
him,
that's what I was going to say.
the Choi, the redhead guy of the Hunters Guild, and then obviously Cha, baby girl.
Cha.
Super Bay. Jesus Christ. One difference must have been they gave you a quick shot of like the magazine with the S ranks. That must have not been in it, right?
Yes.
That wasn't in. And also like this interview isn't in.
You're right. I figured that whole part wasn't in it.
But again, we talked about it episode 1 that it's technically a light novel adaptation. So some of these small differences could be because of that.
I have my headcanon is about that. Who cares? Because the webtoon is money, bro. But hey, but it doesn't. Regardless, like whether it's light novel canon or not, I like the little fluff so far. I was questioning it in the beginning, but so far it's like, bro, you can't have page by page, frame by frame. You know, you need to make it flow, and I think they've been doing a good job.
And it's important to introduce us to these characters, and I think reinforce it because there'll be characters in the future, and it'll be, oh, I remember him because of XYZ scenes. It's not just some random new person. So
exactly, and with this manga or manhwa, the name remembering is extra difficult for me. So maybe this will be better.
Definitely. The other comment I have here is that he used to be a firefighter, which is, it's always just cool getting just reminders that these gods in our eyes used to be kind of humans as well.
Just randomly bestowed powers.
Exactly. But yeah, just more emphasis here with just what the solo leveling readers have been looking for, just the glow up. The sister sees Sung Jin Woo, comments on his height. He's It's more muscular, just the haircut, all of it. Our baby boy is growing up. He is currently, I'll try and be better about this for each episode, just kind of keeping up at what level he is. So right now we get a quick flash. He's level 18. Talking about how he has some reserve stats from his last fight that he can invest into certain different points and
That is
just
from the grinding, right?
yeah, it's from
So
yeah,
he must have went up like 12
at
levels.
least.
Yeah.
Well,
What did he go in
actually
as?
actually no, those might have been from it might have been a combination because they should I don't know if they
The
automatically distribute the +1 when he
Yeah,
levels
they
up.
do. The remaining
Okay.
points were that was 4 days of daily training rewards right there.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. And he just talks about each of the individual stats, strength, intelligence, yada, yada, yada. He ends up putting all of the points, most of them into strength, which is now at 50. I'm not going to talk too much about the specifics of the stats, but strength's at 50. He puts some into agility and perception. Meanwhile, intelligence and vitality are kind of lagging behind, I guess, if you want to call it that.
He purposely
He
avoided
talks, yeah,
adding about.
he talks about the importance of them, but I think just for his character and just for who he is, he just prefers strength and agility. So that's why most of the points went there. While in the hospital recovering and clearing dungeons, Sung has fallen behind on his rent, and now he's got to go back into the real world. But we've got some problems with him just hopping right into dungeons. So problem number one is, well, the first option that he lays out for himself is that if he wants to do higher ranked dungeons, he should get himself reappraised. But the issue with that is that other hunters, reporters, media, yada yada, will go crazy at the fact that Sung Jin Woo is a hunter that is capable of getting stronger. We've kind of been emphasizing the fact that once you're a hunter and ranked, you don't get stronger. You might, in the smallest of ways, get stronger, but it's not like Sung Jin Woo to this a point where you just exponentially get stronger. So just
Yeah,
a
you can like
reminder here.
become better at fighting and like level up your
You can
gear,
improve
but
your technique, yeah, level up your gear, but
yeah,
yourself is not going to get stronger.
yeah,
Yeah.
your
I,
power
w-
is the same.
I was thinking about that. Like, what? You can't lift weights and get stronger?
Like that's the kind of stuff that like I'm talking about. Like I'm sure you might be able to get a little stronger, but again, what is
Yeah, like your max output there's a ceiling and you
Yeah,
cannot
like you're not
surpass it.
gonna like whatever your rating hunter rating is, like when they do the reading on him and it comes back 10, I don't think you could increase that any.
like if you're going to tell me my cap limit on benching is 500 pounds, I think I'm pretty happy with that, like
No, it's true. Like when he mentions, he's like, "Oh, maybe I'm gonna be like a bodybuilder." And I thought about it. Like he's carrying those bags. It's obviously easy for him because he's like a literal a walking G. But if he were before and he just started hitting the gym, like that's not a crazy amount. Like you know what I'm
no,
saying?
I see what you're
Anyway,
saying.
I'm just
Yeah.
thinking out loud.
What eventually he decides is that he sees this, I guess, this opening for a squad that's attempting to do a dungeon that just needs extra bodies. They don't have enough. The minimum requirement is 8. Their group only has 6, so I think Sung is needed for their group, and he just acts as a bag carrier. But anyway, the leader of this squad that hires him is Hwang Dong Suk, and it's
Fucking
funny.
bastard.
Yeah, Bastard won, but it's also just funny here again that Sung Jin Woo is just recognized for being the weakest of all time. Just that fame will never leave him so soon. No, it won't leave him so soon.
It does fuel him a little bit though. We saw at the end of last episode where he's like, he thinks about the title itself and it fuels him a little bit. So
Mhm. There are 4 C ranks, 2 sub D ranks, and no healers, which Sung off the rip finds to be crazy and risky and a little bit weird. And then we get our final party member. Enter Yu Jin Ho, 21-year-old D rank hunter, just wearing some insanely flashy armor that kind of just shows off his wealth and where he comes from a little bit. So
absolute legend in the game.
yeah, for the audience, definitely get cozy. Remember this guy's name. You're gonna want to remember it.
Well, it's
Yu
funny
Jin
too
Ho.
because we have Sung Jin Woo, then we have his sisters Jin Ah, and now we have Jin Ho.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes it easier or harder to
Oh
remember who
no,
they are.
absolutely way more difficult. And like Jin Hu isn't even like the girl's name isn't even too far off from this either. The crush. So just even more confusing for us. Um, but the
Oh, and
party.
also random little fun thing is maybe not fun, but difference is in the manhwa, it's 10 people to a party, and in this it's 8. Just thought that was an interesting change. Maybe it just makes it easier. They have to draw less people. It's less confusing type of deal. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
And realistically, when has it ever mattered the difference between having 8 and 10 members? I feel like it's either they're clearing out the dungeon or they're getting fucked on, basically.
Don't think anyone caught any of these guys' names anyway, really. So.
Yeah, I don't think they even
it
provided.
Really
it wasn't worth the
yeah,
time to
it
even
literally
give
doesn't
them.
matter.
But yeah, the party approaches the gate and they make a small comment that the gate size is actually pretty big, but the association has confirmed it to be a C rank. What determines the rank of a dungeon is the level of magic that emits from it. Essentially, what I'm saying is don't judge a gate by its cover. Large gates can be weaker, small gates can be stronger. It's just all dependent on the magical output. That's really all you really need to know.
Bunch of goblins waddling around in there.
Exactly. And they even make it, they take it a little bit farther later on with Jinhu kind of learning a little bit about dungeons, saying that, okay, a dungeon could be, really big and have a few monsters in it, but it's still going to produce a large amount of magic because the dungeon itself is so big. But either way, they enter and immediately they are not presented with any lights, which appears to be not so typical in dungeons. We learn a little bit about glowstones. I'm not really going to talk about them. That's pretty self-explanatory. But they come across 3 different pathways, and they still haven't really been faced with any monsters yet. But Sung taking on the responsibilities of this squad all to himself.
The perception, baby.
The perception.
Perception's
so cool.
Point.
I miss me and Sung Jin Woo, bro. We're cut from the same cloth, dude.
Yeah, that intuition.
Intuition, bro.
Intuition, baby.
Same cloth, him and I.
He senses the monsters from above, and they are kind of anticlimactic that they're ants again, but they are. Well, I guess they're. I
don't know if they're ants.
They look like fleas,
bugs.
Almost. Yeah, they're insects of some sort.
I mean, it leads into a good discovery at the end.
Yeah,
we see their teamwork, and he's kind of like, okay, this is why they don't have a hunter. I mean, rather a healer. They work really well together. Jin Ho's putting a little work in. I love that wink. He kills the one and he winks at Sung Jin Woo. He's like, I got you, baby. And Sung Jin is just like, okay. I like how he says too, he's like, it's frustrating because he still has to keep on this guise of the title of World's Weakest Hunter. When they show us, he literally kicks one with his heel just nonchalantly and just
that he didn't even
it up.
see.
Yeah, so it's just he wants to put that work in, but he needs to keep his cover. So.
This is when I remember, I literally remember reading and being like, yo, this guy's gonna fuck shit up. And I'm relishing in this. I'm literally relishing in this.
Yeah, except for the fact that they didn't give us it. They're making us wait another week.
Yeah.
Dude, you're gonna get it, bro. They're gonna give it.
I honestly really like this little montage of a fight scene here. I thought the animation too of the mage doing the countdown for his magic attack was actually pretty badass. Looked really good, even though the mage himself, I think, was only C rank. So still making the weaker characters of the world look pretty badass in these scenes. Sung is still feeling something off about just the group, the dungeon in general. The group notices that some of the ants have been hurt by something that was not a part of their group, implying that there might be something stronger later down the line. The group presses on and they stumble across a room filled to the brim with mana. God, now I'm overthinking the whole mana thing. Mana, I don't fucking know what I say. Mana crystals. But they are guarded by a currently sleeping spider that's hanging above the room. One of the members mentions really briefly brings up Huang's brother. So we'll put a pin in that conversation for the time being about Huang's brother. Huang kind of just brushes it off. He doesn't really hear it anyway, but one of the other group members kind of shushes the guy that mentions the brother. So we know Huang has probably a hatred for his brother that we've been hearing about right now.
They go into it in the webtoon, the manhwa, which I thought it's interesting. They're kind of playing those cards tighter to the chest here. So
yeah, don't they give like a little bit
next episode? But yeah, we get to see him kind of his
in
back,
the shadow.
and,
yes,
yeah, all that kind of stuff. So I think that'll just happen next episode.
Okay, that's what I remember watching this, and I was like, they kind of just brushed it over, and I was like, oh, are we not getting that right now? But
They
I
give like
know
all of the details from the get.
that's
He's
what I
like
thought.
sitting there
Yeah,
muttering to himself like all of the details of his life about like all of these transgressions, and I was like, oh my god, okay, I forgot they just were out with it.
yeah, and then this is where things start to turn sour. Dong Suk is mentioning how they will split the mana crystals 7 ways, but attorney Jin Ho says that because the
The
items
goat.
weren't dropped by monsters, it should technically be split 8 ways to include Sung Jin Woo, and the tension begins. We get a quick glance of Huang not being so pleased, but then brushes it off and puts on this act of, oh, don't worry. Yeah, of course. We'll split it 8 ways. They plan to mine the crystals before the spider can awake. But coincidentally, of course, the person in charge of the mining equipment left it at the beginning of the dungeon or outside of the dungeon, whatever. And everyone besides Sung Jin Woo and Jin Ho need to head back and grab it while these two kind of just man the fort and watch to make sure nothing happens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a shame. Jinho's such a good guy.
yeah, the true colors are revealed as
Yeah.
Wang tells his group members to seal off the exit for Sung, and that leads to an explosion that crumbles the exit, and the dungeon boss now awakens.
That wouldn't have happened to you guys because you would have followed him out there for the smoke, right?
Nice,
Yeah.
bro.
Ah,
Yeah, probably. I needed the break.
gotcha.
I needed the break.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just felt bad that Jinho was like, "Oh man, this is my fault." Like if I didn't bring up the the contract and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And Sung Jin Woo knows. He's like, "Nah, these guys are the lizards."
I mean, yeah, the moment he laid eyes on the group and didn't see a healer, there was something going on.
Yeah, and this is another example of like a very small change. Again, in this condensement argument, because in the webtoon, it's a different character that gives him the talk on. Like some groups do this, they hide behind
Really?
the fact that dungeons are like have high casualty levels
It's
and things
not
can
Mr.
happen.
Kim.
No, it's not. It's a different guy. So just again, just like a different
That's what
kind
I
of
was. I was kind of remembering that too. I feel like I
yeah.
was. I
There's
remember the lizard tail thing. I definitely remember
there's
that.
literally no difference. It's just easier for us now that we're kind of seeing Mr. Sung as kind of a mentor character consistently in these flashbacks versus it being some other guy that we just
Mhm.
don't give a fuck about.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
smart decision.
Oh my
And
god,
then the
this
fucking cliffhanger.
these next just
Bastards.
everything here till the finale is just absolute fire. I'm not ready for this to only be 12 episodes. Like
It's so crazy.
yeah, one of the YouTube comments we got, Kyle, do you have the name by any chance?
I have it up. Give me 1 second because I
Yeah,
meant to
take your
reference
time.
it. Dark Ren 88.
Yeah, shout out to Dark Man. Kind of did some behind the scenes quick maths
Yes.
and determined that he figured out essentially where the season will end, which coming from a reader as well is super hype. I think the season finale is going to be incredible. It's going to be an amazing end. Again, just it's going to be a fat cliffhanger for
Yeah.
I think like
I mean, we're
legitimately by
still-
the season finale, I think there's going to be the number of readers almost doubled at that point.
Yeah. We're still on this 4 chapters an episode pace, basically. So this is kind of the end of this is like episode at the end of chapter 20-ish. And then the fight starts really in earnest 21 and on. So we'll get to what is 12 times 4? 48. So we'll get around chapter 50. I'm curious to actually look more into exactly what that is. Dark Ren just talked about it a little bit, but not obviously a spoiler conversation we're going to have right now. But yeah, it's just crazy. But it does kind of break up. I look, there's 200 chapters. So that 4 seasons.
4 seasons.
Although it feels like the later chapters are way more jam packed.
Mm-hmm.
Like
They
4
might.
chapters an episode later on feels like an insane pace.
They could up the number of episodes into seasons too. I feel like animes are doing that now, where it's not just the consistent either 12 or 24. It's some
Yeah.
combination of the two.
And hopefully
Well-
this is just an insane success, popular, and maybe they get more budget and more episodes. We'll see.
Demon Slayer does this funny thing where like they name the seasons just by the arc. And now
what's
there's
but
no
what's
like
funny
thing.
though, it's not even like
Exactly.
it's
That's
not
where
even
I'm going with this.
season. Yeah, they name their seasons, but some of the seasons
Are
aren't.
one.
Yeah, exactly. That's so
So
weird.
it's so weird. So I don't know. Well, shit. Like if solo leveling gets the clout that Demon Slayer does, like
It might get
seeing
there.
seeing it be so good already, and knowing that we're already halfway through, it sucks, bro.
Oh, absolutely.
It sucks, bro.
There is actually one last scene if we even want to talk about it, we can. It was just Bach, the S rank hunter, doing some training in his at his guild's gym. I don't know if we want to comment on that.
It's just the
It's
You
baller.
you want to talk about the fan service? That nice little like under like that perspective shot from like his knees looking up into his 8-pack, his
Yeah.
fucking V taper. I was like, all right, okay.
Again, anything that we've really seen about the S rank hunters on screen is pretty much all new information for us too. Um, it's just a cool. I will say, like, it's a cool display of power, but at the same time, it's like the hype of waiting to finally see an S rank hunter in action is now
Well,
a little bit less.
we saw them fucking 3 seconds
Yes,
into the show. What do
yeah,
you mean?
yes, but like, I
We'll
don't
get
know.
way more
I
scenes.
want
It'll be
them to
fine.
fight. Yeah, I know, I know.
It'll be fine.
I'm
He says it's
nitpicking at
just
this
like a
point.
random little warm up. He
Oh
blows
yeah,
that block up, and he's like, "Okay, this is like
I'm
this is the warm up before the warm up."
I'm absolutely nitpicking this show because
Yeah,
I will never complain about anything ever. So I have to
I'll
find
complain
something
about the
to.
fucking cliffhanger, dude. He steps right up to the spider, and Jin Ho's like, get behind me, and he's like, "Nah, I'll take it. I'll kill it."
I'm just
And I
gonna.
was then the fucking credit scene comes, and that's like my new least favorite thing to see on my screen.
Yeah, is there fucking I completely
Is that
agree.
is that like blue computer looking like screen? I just hate it. It's the
All right,
worst.
let's do a quick couple minute spoiler filled portion of the episode. So we'll give a couple seconds here for anyone that doesn't want any spoilers going forward to please leave the room now.
It's aggressive.
The main thing I kind of just want to talk about here is, I guess, what we're coming to expect here in these final episodes that we're approaching. So we get,
Final episodes. There's still half a season.
I mean, I know half a season, but 6 episodes, that's gonna fly by, man. That's really gonna fly by. But
What is it, 12? Is it 12?
yeah, it's 12.
Okay, so we
So
got
next episode, we're gonna
7.
get the fight against the spider. What happens to Huang's group? Does he just straight up fucking kill every single one of them?
That's my memory, but
The spider does?
No, no, no. The group, like, what are the orders of operations? Like, I think Sung kills the spider. They come in and they're like, "Holy shit!" Like, they actually won. But like, I can't remember if Sung Jin Woo is. Oh, the system, baby. The system's like 7 enemies are all emitting bloodlust. In order to complete this quest, you need to kill them all or some shit like that. And so he does need to.
Oh, fuck.
So we get that, and then we're gonna get the new ability after that with stealth when he fights the other. So we get
yes.
that. Those are the. So this fight against the spider is the big one. Then we get the stealth guy, and then we get Egress. Basically, I think that's how we're.
Yeah, looking into what like chapter like 48, 50 area ish is, it's the red gate. So it's like the
Mm,
start of that. So we might stop like right before that, and that would be like the start of
no,
season 2, which would
no.
be
I
crazy.
I hope the guy on YouTube was right. I want to get to the point of Arise. I want that. I think I totally see that being the finale. I can't not.
Yeah, that's gonna fucking piss me off,
Oh, it's
dude.
gonna. That's what I'm saying.
That's
Like,
gonna
the amount of
fucking
readers,
piss me
the
off.
amount of readers is gonna instantly just double. Like, I don't think everyone's just gonna immediately go to reading this once the season finale comes.
Dude, I think that, like, seriously, I know I'm really hyped right now and excited, but this has some crazy potential right now, man.
Oh yeah.
I think that if it ends on that note, I'm gonna be disappointed because I want to see it come to life.
Mhm.
But like you said, Dave, it will bring so much audience to the story,
People are
and
gonna be
it's
like, dude,
gonna
if you
take
haven't
off.
watched this, fucking watch this. I'm like, they're gonna be
Exactly.
like, I've went from watching to reading, all this shit. My question is, I guess,
Exactly.
are they gonna? They won't show us his class, right? Like, that'll be part of the
No, that happens
cliffhanger
like
too.
way down. I feel like that happens way along the
No,
lines.
but
Like
he
he's
has
like,
to have the class in order to say the command, does he not?
I don't remember
Well,
that,
I'm
bro.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Egress like the Egress Arise thing is the same thing, is it not?
Like what happens is he fights Egress and wins,
Mhm.
and he is so beat up, and then the dungeon that he's in immediately is like, okay, we're now going to test your abilities. Now that you beat Egress, okay, so you're right. He
Yeah.
beats Egress, and they're like, all right, we're going to test you. Eventually, what happens is like all those stone dummies come in, and he has to just fight them until he's basically done fighting. He's about to die. He gets teleported because remember how at the beginning we didn't mention this, but at the beginning of them going into this dungeon, Sung is presenting the options for rewards for completing his
Yeah.
daily quest, but he doesn't accept them.
Mhm.
So it's one of those situations where he, accepts it, rejuvenates, and then he gets. So you're right. You're right. So the necromancer class might be.
Yeah. And that's what the one thing.
Oh,
with-
you meant class. I thought you meant like S class.
No. Sorry,
Yeah,
I meant
no.
like the necromancer. Like, do you think
Oh.
it's going to say necromancer at the end of the titles, or do you think it's just going to be
Yeah.
part of the cliffhanger?
We'll
Like,
get
you
there.
think they're going to
100%.
announce it?
Dude,
I feel like they're not going to give it to us. I feel like
I
it's
feel
just
like
going
they
to be
have
like.
to give it to us to give us something
yeah, all
to
that's like
anticipate.
it's
Oh, I guess
all
you're right,
like
you're
as a
right.
pack. It's kind of like a package deal. It feels like.
Like he'll get announced necromancer, and then he'll say arise, and then cut to black,
Boom,
basically.
and over.
That's like earlier than chapter 48,
Is it?
which is like chapter 48 is like that all happens after the Red Gate. I mean, I'm sorry, before the Red Gate stuff, does it not?
We
Like-
have to study.
Oh yeah. So you're
Yeah,
saying
because he gets Tank in the Red Gate, which
That's what I was just
naturally
gonna
happens
ask,
after
okay.
Egress. Yeah.
if
So-
we at least get one episode of him as a fucking necromancer, I'll.
Yeah, that has to happen.
Oh, I
Maybe
hope
then
so.
it'll end.
Chapter 48
it'll
is like
end
they're
before the
in-
Red Gate.
Yeah,
It'll
they
end.
go-
It'll end like at the Red Gate.
Yeah, like they'll go in and they get a lock, and they'll be like, "Oh, this is a Red Gate type of deal." Because that's when
Oh, I'm
Dong
happy
Suk's
with
brother,
that.
Dong Suk's brother, comes back. So like maybe we show him, and we get that connection to this episode, and then the season ends, and it's like, "Oh, okay."
All right, that's a good middle ground. I'll accept
Yeah.
that. It's not as
That is
bad of a
fine.
cliffhanger. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not as bad of a
Yeah.
cliffhanger.
It's gonna be a nasty cliffhanger no matter what.
Oh, when we get
Oh.
Huang's brother, bro, he's
Yeah,
just like,
it's
I'm
just-
gonna fucking kill Sung Jin Woo and stuff.
It's gonna be nasty no matter what. I mean, just think of how we felt at the end of this episode when it's just this spider, and it's like, "Oh my god, I want to die." When is it Saturday again? So when is it? We're gonna wait how long until season 2? But we'll worry about that. We'll worry about that when we get there.
Alrighty, any final comments, guys?
No, can't wait for Saturday.
Yep, cannot wait for Saturday. All right. Now that we have the new look Sung Jin Woo, the series is just only picking up. We are officially past the backstory, and we are now into the
Yeah.
thick of it.
Yeah, we need him with that low taper fade. We need that new haircut.
You know what's
Sucks.
annoying? I've been getting a low taper fade since I was like fucking 22 years old, and now everybody it's like
Nah,
a thing.
Travis
and
Kelsey did it first,
Yeah,
bro.
you've been getting the Kelsey since then.
I'm literally I preceded Kelsey.
Yeah, you're
All
Taylor
right.
Swift next.
That will be it for today's
No.
episode coverage of Solo Leveling. If you like what you heard, give Bingetown TV a follow on all of our socials at Bingetown TV on X, Insta, YouTube, the works. Be sure to join our Discord and chat with us about anything that you are currently watching or anything that we've covered on the podcast. If you have some insights for us, definitely hit us with those in Discord or in the comments section. Lastly, for all of our podcast catalog, check out bingetowntv.com. It has everything that we've ever recorded, all 500 plus episodes in a nice organized fashion by show. So if you, rather than scrolling through Apple Podcasts, going all the way back, you can just check out our website and it'll give you a nice organized catalog there. And if I didn't say it enough, once again, we are Bingetown TV, and thank you for listening.